Welcome, my Virgo collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your work, career, and vocation reading. Timeless, but doing them for the months of October and November 2021. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle Productions since 1998, author of Words of Grace from a Professional Witch, available on Kindle, link in the description box. The Archangel of Lyons, Mark Angelo Lyons, but you can call me Mal, and I am Virgo Sun, conjunct Jupiter with Uranus, and what else is in there? Uranus and Pluto conjunct, second house, a lot going on, and I am here to serve my beloved mutable earth signs, my Virgo family, Virgo power. Let's get down to work, shall we? It's a 3-level of power read. There's a link in the description box by Carolyn Myss, PhD, MYSS. This is her archetype deck, talking about the 3 levels of power, 3 archetypal lenses through which you can look at anything pretty much in your life. We are looking at life purpose, work, career, vocation, 3 levels of power. Link in the description box will explain that for you. I've been doing these readings for people for a very, very, very long time. Being that I've been in business so long, you know, self-employed, but an S corporation, people do often turn to us Virgos in general for our experience and our guidance. Glad to do so. So it is a 12-card spread using 4 different decks, 3 cards each. There are chakras involved. I'll explain all that as we go, but if you'd like to book a private reading with me, there is a link in the description box. Booking a reading with Mal, explaining not just how to do that, but what goes down. Other than that, I'd say standard YouTube reading rules apply. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It is, after all, a general read, right? Take the clues, tips, and hints that you can. Check your other signs, because your Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs are just going to get different aspects of work, career, and vocation. For example, your rising sign might be more interested in your work in the world, how it is appearing in the outside world, but your moon sign may be way more concerned with your spiritual calling, your vocation. So it's about making money, these readings, sure, survival, part of it, first level of power, but it's also about your creativity, your passion, your hunger, and your thirst, personal level of power, your career. And then really, what is your spiritual calling? What is your vocation, right? What fuels your spirit or brings your spirit more into form? Bringing that into alignment is a way to kind of leverage all of this stuff, and that's why you want to check your other signs. It seems each reading, one of the 3 levels has some leverage in it. Work on that, tends to balance the others out. I think I'm done explaining, except to say that all the decks that I read are always in the bottom of the description box, along with lots of other cool videos, my Vimeo on demand stuff, my book, all of that's on there. So both feet on the floor if you can. Focus on your breath if you will. I will do the same to get you the clarity, guidance, and grace that I can in what could not be more important than your life purpose during these times of such intense transformation, 5th dimensional access, and all that. Please take a nice deep breath. Let's keep it grounded. Even you starseeds out there, let's keep it grounded, because the guides are flooding in as I call upon my collective pantheons of angels, archangels, goddesses, gods, ascended masters of life purpose through work, career, vocation, and the higher selves of all involved, 5th dimension and above, 8th chakra and above. Give me the 8th chakra dynamics of the work, career, and vocation life. For the Virgo collective, Sun, let's see if any of these pop up, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, watching this video, receiving this reading in their work, career, vocation, looking at them as almost like 3 different energetic entities, all 8 chakras represented. What is the 8th chakra dynamic for their work, their survival, intuition, the physical level of power? What is their dominant 8th chakra archetype for their career, their heart, throat, third eye, crown dynamic, their creative intuition, their passion, their hunger, their thirst? And what is the 8th chakra dynamic for their vocation, their spiritual calling, their spiritual and mystical power, their visionary intuition? Let's have a look-see. Dooksy, these are in the title, so let's see how brave you are. And why wouldn't you? This is lovely. The poet, the rebel, and the storyteller. So you could consider yourself a poet, rebel, storyteller, or a storyteller, rebel, poet. It's going to go either way depending on who's watching. So just looking here, the bookends here, we've got the poet and the storyteller, both creative family archetypes, but the rebel, an action family archetype. Interesting. Now again, all archetypes are neutral. As toxic or wonderful as they sound, the opposite is also true, right? So the poet, let's start there. In your work, an odd thing to see in someone's work, unless really they are working with words consistently. The shadow attribute turns a lyric gift to negative or destructive effect. I've touched that. When I hear a song too many times, I start making up new words, screwing with it. You should see what I did with Enya's Watermark back in the 90s. I worked in this place, Body, Mind, and Soul. They played it on loop. After a while, you start making up words just to keep yourself sane. Plus, there once was a man from Nantucket. Let's move on. The light attribute, though, expressing soul insights in symbolic language, which I could see that playing itself out in thousands and thousands of different ways. Even what I'm doing here right now, in a way, it's right. I'm expressing soul insights through the symbolic language of divination and healing systems. You with me? So that's interesting. Poet, creative family. In your work, lower 3 chakra dynamic, what you're doing in the world. Survival, intuition. The rebel, however, in the career is something we are seeing more and more and more. The shadow attribute rejects legitimate authority out of anger or rebels out of peer pressure or fashion, which I'm sorry, always throws me back to the 1980s. Of course, we had the punk movement that started in England, right? And then, the Ramones happened, right? They kind of brought, and a lot was going on, CBGBs at the time, right? Blondie and all of that, right? And punk was a thing, but then new wave happened, right? It's sort of like the watered down rebellion out of peer pressure or fashion. Like how many safety pins do you need in an Armani suit to prove you're punk, right? There aren't enough. The light attributes challenges authority to affect social change, which is huge on the planet right now. I could see somebody working a job to make the money to then pursue their social justice aspects of life. It's definitely divine masculine, second wave of ascension type stuff. Doesn't matter about gender on that at all. Rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Great, big, huge on the planet right now, particularly if the spiritual systems of your tribal upbringing, not just your family, your society, all of that, is really cutting into your joy and your creativity to not just think outside the lines, but another word for the rebel is the revolutionary. And you have to admit, over the past year or so, at the time of this recording, we've seen a lot of revolutions in people's careers as well as the industries in which their careers reside. Right? Everybody working from home. Oh, really? You're not allowed to telecommute? Well, it kind of looks like most people are. It's probably not true. Most. A good section of the population. The storyteller here is incredibly powerful. I will say that someone who has a dominant storyteller archetype has what I call the power of narrativia, the ability to weave stories, depending on how true or false they are, can be blessings or curses. The shadow attribute, making up tales that harm others. Now, the gossip is another archetype in this deck, but also in the creative family. This can even be stories that someone creates within their own mind. Very Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. Just saying, if you haven't read it, it's a really good read. I love Mr. Tolle. Bless his heart, his soul, and his peaceful presence. But the stories that they tell themselves to wind themselves up, to give themselves extra stress, and then they pass those stories on to others. In other words, it's not so much the shadow if you know if you don't know it's true. Sorry. It's not really toxic if you really believe the story is true and you pass it on. But it is in the telling of the story that those kind of chains of pain can be extended rather than broken. The light attribute, ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. So what do we see here? We see a double whammy of symbolic language here. Literally, your vocation coming directly into your work, both with creative family archetypes, both very verbal Virgo. I'm very verbal. I am a verbal Virgo. All right, that's as much as we're going to talk about those individually, but I will say that is quite the lineup, and you may be going through a total revolution inside yourself. So let's look at that. Next 3 cards, Daughters of the Moon Tarot, will be the next 4 chakras down. The crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart. We're going to watch how this 8th chakra dynamic is affecting everything else underneath it. Please take a nice deep breath. As I call upon my goddesses of Earth, the sign of Virgo, powers of the North, please, 3 cards face up, one at a time, for the Virgo collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading in their work, career, vocation. They have got the Poet in their first level of power, the literal physical world, right? Lower 3 chakra dynamic, but with that Poet in the 8th, what's going on inside of them? The yin stuff, the internal world. The learner, loving that. 8 of Pentacles, very much a Virgo card. I've used the phrase learning curve for over a decade now, just with clients and with myself, to keep in mind, just remember, we're all learning. No one's perfected unless we're all perfect in the moment. Then we're all perfected, right? It's all a process of alchemy from lead to gold. So that 8 of Pentacles, you know, putting your head down, doing the work. But this is I say it every time, this is a crone teaching a maiden how to weave a blanket. And here's one of the blankets that she wove, very much like the one that's on the loom, to say, I've been doing this for years, darling, before you were born. Let me pass this on to you before I pass, right? So to speak. So there's definitely some harder work. There's some learning stuff, maybe learning how to really shift that. Like, how do I have the wisdom and the learning to express myself in a way that is not that does not have a negative or destructive effect, but rather to express my soul's insights here in some symbolic language. So definitely you're learning things in your work life. Let's see in their career, my goddesses, please, the Rebel. In their career, this is the personal level of power, mental, emotional stuff. What's going on for them? Heart, third eye, crown, digging it big time. 7 of Flames in this deck is victory. We often see victory as the 6 of Wands. This would be the 7 of Wands, but here the artwork is unmistakable. 3 women riding on the back of horses, but they're galloping on cooling lava, which is such an interesting image, that the lava under the crust that they can't see is moving in the same direction. So there are unseen forces propelling this along. Now, it's not much of a victory without a challenge, right? It's not really an obstacle course without obstacles, without hardships, adversity to overcome. I mean, that's why I'm really getting strong here. There is a social justice thing in somebody's heart here, and it's in their fire. They want to do it, but can they express the insights they're having from their souls without ripping people apart? Certainly easier said than done. Let's keep going. The Storyteller. And the download I'm getting here is like the way, like, what story are you in? Right? Is it comic book? Is it mythology? Is it a fairy tale? You know, what is the story that are you in? Is it a war story with this rebel? Let's see. Whoops. Let's see if that. Let's see if either one of those come out. I don't take jumpers as a rule. Breathe. Yeah, my goddesses of Earth, sign of Virgo, powers of the North. What's going on with this this storyteller in their vocation, their visionary intuition? I love this, seeing the larger picture. You got the Sagittarius card. Yeah, you may have Sagittarius placement, but this is going on inside of you. I will say, with 2 fire cards right next to each other, fire is definitely throat chakra. The Daughters of the Moon represent those 4 chakras. The psychological world, spiritual power, mental power, willpower, choice, will you, won't you, do you, don't you, and emotional power. This is an expansiveness. I would absolutely say expand your story to a larger picture. You know, there are some very, very old stories out there that people can adopt and look through those lenses. I don't know, Armageddon? the end times, right? Totally a story. It plays out in our lives individually, I find, rather than globally. And the more people who survive it individually, the less it has to happen. In other words, we learn from this. But to put that in a much bigger spin, Sagittarius, 9th house, expansion, spirituality, to get the archer, right, the hunter, the centaur, the kentaur, with this storyteller, that to see it from a more spiritual story, from the point of view of your soul, the soul's journey. All right, I'm going to do this since it's very much a card of transformation. By the way, this is mutable fire, the crone of flames, Cerridwen, Cerridwen, I've heard it said a bunch of different ways. This would be the Knight of Wands. Definitely a fast-moving thing, but think flaming arrows. My sound effects, raised by a nursery school teacher, tons of them, right? Just back in the subconscious mind, ready to come out. Definitely an exploration and an expansion here, but keep your eyes on your story. What is the story that you see in the largest altitude, most expansive altitude that you can? Like, for instance, could it be something that's just off the top of my head? As I heal, everybody heals. As I serve, all are serving their purpose. I can't get it wrong. I'm a divine being. I've played this game before, right? In different lifetimes. I am not this body, this gender, this race, this age. This is the costume and the makeup of the character. I am the soul. Egg, caterpillar, cocoon, butterfly, ego, personality, soul, higher self. To embody that, to really see it from the butterfly POV. That's a lot. Apparently they agree. They say it's important. Along with Siren. Let's look at the lower 3 chakras here, the mythic tarot. What's going on in the physical world? That's why this is about money. This is about you being able to pay your bills, right? This is about doing it, though, without, well, dampening the light of the soul or sacrificing your spirit, your calling, right? Bringing it all into alignment. Please take a nice deep breath. As I call upon my gods of earth, the sign of Virgo, powers of the north, please, my beloved ones, one card each, work, career, vocation. From the outside looking in at the Virgo looking out from the inside, maybe all of that. And a side of fries for the Virgo collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading in their work, career, vocation. Yeah, what's going on? They got the poet in their work with that 8 of Pentacles, the learner. What's going on the outer? 6 of Cups. Now, I know, nostalgia, looking back, but it's also very much about emotional harmony, emotional balance. Sure, you might be wistful for better times, but things have changed. If that is part of your poetry, so to speak, you really looking back on the emotional wisdom that you have gained, putting it into a symbolic language to express that, know that you are in that process. I'm just going to say, whatever it is that you're doing to survive, and not everybody gets paid through their work. I don't. As a Virgo, I'm a corporate president. S Corporation. I mean, this was before LLC. 1998, I started DrawingTheCircle Productions, right? It's been a lot of work. It has been absolutely a learning curve, right? But the transformations that we've all had to go through here, to be in emotional balance, to be where you are there. Like I said, I don't get paid for the DrawingTheCircle Productions corporate president stuff. I get paid in my career. I get paid as a reader and a healer and a teacher, right? And all that. So, this might be looking back on better times, but there's great wisdom to be had by you looking over your shoulder at the emotional journey that you've been through in your work, not just your current situations. Look at your entire work life, which, as we said, is different than career. How many artists, career, wait tables, or at least used to, right, in their work in some way, shape, or form. All right, career. Let's look here. The rebel with victory. The victorious rebel. You're up for this. Breathe. Yes, my beloved gods. What's going on here in their career? Rebel in the 8th, victory on the inner, and the chariot on the outer. I would say with the god Aries, god of war, driving the chariot of motivation and inspiration, very much a Cancerian card, with that victory that you are ready to rebel. You are ready to hopefully not burn down the village, destructively, but I think that has to do with that poetic ability you have there. Will you turn your words into a destructive skill, which sometimes is necessary, but not in the shadow. You can do it in a way that is a healing thing, but particularly with that storyteller, be very careful of the story that you're telling. Make sure you have as much information as possible before charging ahead on that, because it does feel like that lava beneath the surface is moving you in that direction. But you really have to do this with the correct heart, throat, third eye, crown alignment to be victorious, rather more creative more than destructive. Right? Okay. My gods, the storyteller. This possibly feels like their leverage, because it really does depend on the story they are telling themselves and the story they are telling others. The more they tell the destructive stories or the stories that harm others, the more it's building up their own resistance to truth. It's just how it works. And nobody lies unless they're afraid and in pain or afraid of pain. So please, what's going on here in the lower three chakras of their vocation? Storyteller in the 8th, Sagittarius on the inner. Watch out, Queen of Swords. This could be somebody in your external world or you from the outside looking in. The Aquarius card, the Queen of Swords here, fixed air. But I'm going to go with that. Fixed air, 11th house, is the stratosphere. It's where the satellites are. Well, obviously higher than the stratosphere. But that sort of fixed layer of air, right? That doesn't really move much, right? To see the world in the palm of your hand. And something in every hour, something in a flower. My British poetry isn't what it used to be memory-wise. But certainly I would say this is also about 11th house humanitarianism. Certainly would make sense with that rebel archetype to be more on the place of social justice and uplifting people, and not just can't we all get along, which unfortunately is a cliche, but that is very Aquarian, right? Humanitarianism, the larger picture, how they interact with the world, and with this social justice vibe here, I really feel like with that Sagittarian, this could be somebody who's very humanitarian in their calling, but there's stuff they have to rebel against here in the best way possible. And the victory is on their side. They have the momentum. Things are aligning to give them victory here. But with that Chariot card, man, just be very, very careful of balancing your inspiration and your motivation. Inspiration is, I want to save the world. Motivation is, we have to burn it down, or we can't. You see what I mean? Both can be true, but it's finding the healthy balance in that. Right? Do no harm to the best of your ability, whether you're Wiccan or not, right? I'm not Wiccan. I don't adopt the Wiccan read because I'm Wiccan. I'm not. I'm an eclectic. I adopt the Wiccan read, 8 words, the Wiccan read, fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will. For unity consciousness, you're only hurting yourself. I'm just saying, right? You want to evolve there. And I think that's kind of what this lesson is here for you. The learner, 8 of Pentacles on the inner, you have wisdom. It's just you're kind of looking over, remember when it was so much simpler? Remember when? Look, everything has cycles of erosion and renewal, right? Something new eventually becomes old. And then out of the old, something new comes, right? It's just the cycle of it all. All right, last 3 cards down. Pardon me. The healing mantra deck. The mantras to help you balance and heal all of this. Please take a nice deep breath. I don't know, feels perky now. This feels really very on the up and up, gotta say. As I call upon my beloved ascended masters of life purpose through the lenses of work, career, and vocation, 3 levels of power read for the Virgo collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading. What are the perfect 3 mantras here for them? First, in their work, Poet in the 8th. The Learner, 8 of Pentacles on the inner, 6 of Cups on the outer. What is their perfect healing mantra for their work? Creating cooperation. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. This was one of mine for the new moon to full moon reads. I think it might have been my Virgo Sun, actually, so check that out. It was my Pisces moon, it was one of them. So more does get accomplished when everyone has a role to play. In other words, there's a great relief for Virgos to be able to delegate, but really encouraging people to be at their best, right? To maybe even communicate to people, look, I'm learning a lot right now. I'm trying to put this into words. I'm looking over my shoulder at what I have learned in my work life here. And if we can all get along, can we all just get along? Can we all operate together, cooperate? This might take some pressure off of you. And of course, many hands make light work. You light worker. Let's go. My Ascended Masters in their career, the Rebel in the 8th. 7 of Flames, Victory on the inner, the Chariot on the outer. What's going to help them really balance that victory so that this is done in the healthiest rebellion possible? Uncovering confidence. I am the missing piece that completes the puzzle of the universe. When you uncover your confidence, and it's uncovering, not discovering, it's in there. It's in there, your soul's voice saying that if I don't show up to the party, this party isn't going to happen. But that's true of everyone. Everyone has a role to play, not just in your situation, I mean in life. No one's on this planet by accident, no matter how much the stories we may want them to be otherwise. To get that, you can really act on your intuition here. Uncover your own confidence here. It feels like your intuition, your creative intuition, is in alignment. Victory with the Chariot. Like you really want to move along here. But have the confidence that you don't need to undermine and burn down the village, is my favorite way of saying it, to do this. I mean, unless you really do, I just don't recommend it, right? You can do this honorably. But I'm going to say your spiritual backup, whatever that is, right, that you are working, what is the words that it used? It's a wonderful way. Reject spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Well, I would say that you are in a place perhaps of spiritual revolution that is going to uncover a different kind of confidence for you, considering you have got the Sagittarius card. 9th house is about spirituality, certainly that expansion, but in a way that is humanitarian, egalitarian, friendly, very Aquarius fixed air with that Storyteller. So please, my Ascended Masters, these three fit together pretty well. It won't be, I think, horribly difficult for the Virgos to bring it into alignment. So what is this last card down? Their perfect healing mantra to help them in their vocation. Anchoring the light. The light is always within me. Now, there's a whole conversation. I'm not doing the bookie books for these. These readings are long enough. But anchoring the light is always within me. That's just the truth. The more you know that, if that's your story, which is based on truth, light is truth. Enlightenment is in truthment. Throwing something out into the light of day is symbolically to see things clearly. But this is a very high vibe mantra to do. The light is always within me helps you not just perhaps pull your focus back from the physical world, right? This is 8th chakra stuff, visionary intuition. Not just to place it on the inner, but inner and up. The light is always within me will then give you the ability to at least viscerally or perhaps be willing to see that that same light is within everybody. The light that we're talking about here is, if you want to go physical, the E that equals mc squared, the photon, the quark, the subatomic particle. We're all made of the same energy, the same light. This is about unity consciousness. So if you can reframe whatever it is you're doing in your work, whatever it is you're rebelling or revolutionary about in your career, with this larger picture of saying, yeah, no, I am here to serve the truth. If working, 11 light, I know, Virgo, I know. It's like, 11 light. But if you get that light is the truth of the third eye, and love is the sound of the heart, right? Mental, emotional, air, and water, then this is really a powerful expression for your throat chakra to bring that into practice, particularly what comes out of your mouth with that poet. Right? It doesn't have to rhyme to be poetry, people. Sometimes when I'm in light trance, I just speak in iambic pentameter. It's very Course in Miracles. Can't help it. It just happens. People are like, will you stop talking in meter? I do not know for that which you refer. So with that, Storyteller as well, reframe this. I am one being manifested as everybody else. We're all in this together. The light is always within me also gives you that centeredness and that strength that no matter what comes at you, nothing can change your essential nature. That's why it's your essential nature, not something that's changeable. Oh, it can be written over. You erase it. Right? It's called conditioning. It may be obscured, but it can't be extinguished. It's like the sun. A cloudy day can come, but the sun has not ceased being. That was deep. Let me give you the blessing. Please take a nice deep breath. Because really, if you put these three mantras together, right, creating cooperation, uncovering confidence, and anchoring the light, but then you reverse it and you do the mantras, the light is always within me. I am the missing piece that completes the puzzle of the universe, and more gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. I love it. Breathe. As I call upon my collective pantheons of the divine and all of our collective pantheons of the divine to please bless the Virgo collective sun, moon, rising, Venus signs with all that they need in their work, career, vocation, that they may really in their work express their soul insights in symbolic language that they are learning, that they are growing, looking over their shoulder, seeing the journey that they have been through, and understand that they can create cooperation because more gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play, and that in their career that they challenge authority to affect social change in some way in their career, rejecting spiritual systems that do not serve, Virgo word, their inner growth, and galloping forward with that Seven of Flames, that victory, moving full steam ahead, hopefully in emotional balance there with the Chariot, uncovering their confidence because they are the missing piece that completes the puzzle of the universe. It's not the universe unless they show up. It's not all one unless everybody shows up. So that in their vocation they can reframe all of this from the highest perception, the highest vision. Perception is not vision. The light attribute that they're shooting for here, their ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols with this Sagittarian expansion going on inside of them by their choice, throat chakra dynamic element of fire, but doing it as or with this Aquarian vibe to it, right? That harmony and understanding, which is really, that whole song's about Pisces, but that's another story, right? That helping, that humanitarian, that seeing the larger picture, acknowledging that the light is always within them, so that they can bring themselves into alignment and therefore help others to get into alignment, to serve, to heal, to grow, to be the best that they can be and fulfill their role in the divine plan. With a lyric gift, with a verbal skill, with a lot of passion and social justice and the balance here, but also seeing the larger story. That as they heal, we all heal, and as they serve, we all serve, showing up as a puzzle piece in the universe by their example for the well-being of all. So motivate, and so it is. It's a hot read. Work, career, vocation, not without its challenges here, but certainly you have got the goods. So did you like the reading? Then please like it. It helps other Virgos see it. Do you want more and you're not subscribed? Well, then by all means, what's stopping you? The subscription box below, and certainly if you want to book me for a reading, you know how to do that now. Link in the description box. You want to read my book, you know how to do that too. Link in the description box. In fact, most Virgos on YouTube, I notice, do give very thorough description box, and I am no exemption from that. So thank you so very much for watching. My honor and my pleasure always to serve the fellow brothers, sisters, and of mine, my Virgo collective sun, moon, rising, Venus signs. Hell, Farewell, and blessed, blessed be.